welcome to this week's Masterclass, where I have Travis Stevenson here from Chatmatic. He's also a ClickFunnels recipient for the 2 Comma Club. You got one of these trophies by you?
I do. Let me see. We got our second one coming in the mail now, but this is the first one here.
Check it out.
Pretty fun
That's
little
a cool
thing.
feeling to get one of those in the mail.
Yeah, for one of my Wealth3 funnels. Yeah.
Dude, that is awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, cool stuff. And today in this masterclass, we're going to be talking about how you've been able to get that 2 Comma Club trophy with Facebook engagement ads as the traffic to those funnels, right? That's been basically the root of it all.
Yeah, so I think that's where it really took my marketing, I would say, to the next level, is when I realized that there is definitely a rule book when it comes to Facebook ads. And if you can not only play within it, but then figure out like what loopholes they've allowed for people to use. And then from there, like, okay, how can I take advantage of that one? And, you know, over time you start to like, okay, I can kind of do this. I can kind of do that. Well, we just started playing around with as many of them as we could. And a lot of that, being that I have a software background, comes from, I have a software background in that I've had a lot of softwares that we've created. I don't write code. But the first thing that I did was I was like, all right, well, look, you know, the rules are what they are. Facebook makes the rules what they are, and they have their approval process, and they have their ads and all this. And one of the things that, you know, I found the most interesting was there's like 1,000 people, and I'm trying to get this light not to shine right on my face, but not to be, all right, there we go. There's probably like 1,000 people out there who are saying, okay, well, when you're running ads, you want to do this and you want to do that, and you want to have this, you know, targeting, and then you want to have, you know, use this demographic thing. And everybody that I talk to, and I know that most of you guys who are here will probably agree, or if you're watching this, you get very conflicting advice from different people, depending on who you listen to. And most of the time it comes from, like, when you're actually running your ads, one guy would be like, look at this, you know, millions of dollars that I made running, you know, a carousel. And then you're like, all right, I'm going to try a carousel. And then it doesn't work. And so one of the things that I said was like, all right, look, what if all of that stuff works? Where can we get an edge? Like, where can I actually, how can I figure out a way to give myself a little bit of a bonus every single time I'm running my campaigns? And so I started looking for basically low-hanging fruit, right? Because even like with some of the stuff that you guys have done with Proof, like if you can increase your opt-in rate, then the chances that you're going to get more out of every dollar go up, right? So by little things that move the needle, you end up really making a big difference if you do enough of those. And so just started kind of digging, and Facebook exposes themselves when you start digging, which I like. It's great. But I think due to the fact that they're being run by a developer and a programmer, they have these things that expose what they really care about most. And it's when you do those things that your ads can really have a lot more success. And that's kind of what I found was stick with engagement. And I'll kind of explain what that means. But stick with engagement, and Facebook will like just help you so much more than you think.
Dude, that's so true. I mean, you think about it, they built the platform for a reason. They want their users to use it in the way that they intended. And that's why I feel like if you ever catch on to one of their trends, like let's say Facebook Live, those videos actually do better than if you did a regular video that's hosted on Facebook. And hosted videos on Facebook do better than a YouTube link, right? That you'll never get any likes on a YouTube link because you don't get any reach.
100%.
And then let's say like if you did a Facebook post versus a Facebook post that is as a quote card, it's like the quote cards end up getting higher reach now. You'll get more likes because you get a higher reach on quote cards than you do on regular Facebook posts.
And you can't use it in business, right? Like that's one of the things that they do too to really kind of lever the businesses out is like, okay, if you're a business, some of our personal tools we're not going to give to businesses because that makes it too unfair for the individuals who are seeing the ads. Is they want you to put in that little bit more work. But yeah, it just ultimately comes down to the fact that like Facebook way before, and you know what's so funny is, I don't know if any of you guys have seen the movie Social Network, but I love that movie. because it's like a super inspiring movie to see what they had going on. And even though it's not all accurate, the one thing that kind of always goes back to my mind is that night they create it, and he has the epiphany moment of like, he says, why are people going to go on Facebook? And originally it was like to see who's dating who and what's, and like it was the college experience brought online. And I thought, wow, it makes a lot more sense now when I'm thinking about ads. If you think about it in a formula of like, why are people actually on Facebook? What has it evolved into now? Who's coming on to Facebook, and what are they coming on to Facebook to do? And for the longest time, like it was when we format our ads, and all of us kind of do this, when we're formatting our ads, we think, what do I want? And how do I get it from these people who happen to be on Facebook? And the reverse thinking is the only way that it works now, especially long-term, is who are the people that are going to enjoy this, and how can I give them something to kind of open the door and to kind of get things rolling. And that's where a lot of people right now are kind of falling short. I mean, e-commerce takes it a little bit differently because you don't have to really give much away. You can have a lot of success if you do, but yeah, there's so many little nuanced features, and I just chose to stick to the things that I thought. And again, one of the things that you just mentioned was, if you get on their trends, you can really make a lot happen. And one of their big trends since March of 2016 has been the growth of Messenger. And so I figured, how can we, kind of leverage Messenger? And it was when we dove into that two-part equation, which are like, how is Messenger going to be related to Facebook from now on? What's that relationship going to look like? That's when we really figured out, like, oh, wait, there's like a couple of stepping stones that Facebook gives you here that as an individual, normally you can't do anything about, because you have to dive into their code base, look at their developer systems, and legitimately hidden, like deep, is some cool stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely share that with you guys.
Yeah, and this is what's cool about having Travis on this masterclass, guys, is that he's the CEO of Chatmatic, which is a messenger for a Facebook Messenger bot platform. Mm-hmm. How would you describe it best, and kind of like where'd you get the idea from?
So the idea came because, like most tech nerds, I'm watching F8 in March of 2016, and I see Zuckerberg gets up on the thing, and I'm like listening to his thing, and he says, we've got 3 big announcements today, and the first one was, we're releasing Facebook Live for personal use, right? Like, it's finally here, everybody can go live. And I thought, personally, I'm not going to go live that often, and if I do, the niche that I'm in, it's a little complicated. And so I'm thinking, okay, what if everybody else feels the same way? What if you have an e-commerce store and you don't know how to go live all the time to get the benefit of a live video? Or, what if you run, a coaching program, or you run a consultation? What kind of live videos are you going to do? So I thought, I'm going to overlook live for a second. And then the next one, which everybody else was so focused on number 1, they didn't look into number 2. And number 2 was, well, we also are releasing our public API for Facebook Messenger. And now it was a little kismet for me timing wise, because about a month before that, I had seen this really cool viral video about a system called WeChat, which WeChat is used in Asia, like primarily as their only app. Like, imagine Facebook and Yelp and Twitter and, every app that we normally use wrapped into one. You pay people from here. It's your credit card. It's literally everything. And I saw that and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I thought, like, I already had the thought in my head, because Messenger had started to evolve a little bit. I had already had the thought in my head, like, what if Facebook could be that? Because it starts with a chat engine. It starts with an app that everybody has, right? Like, Facebook 3 years ago started making you download Messenger. Like, it wasn't any longer in the main app. They said, if you want to send a message to this person, you have to download our app. So now they're forcing all 1.3 billion people to download Messenger. So sure enough, as of last year, and I don't know if many people knew this, 2016, the number one most downloaded app in the entire year was Messenger, which I'm talking more than Pokemon Go, more than like what are all the other ones, like more
Angry
than
Birds?
more than any app was downloaded. And this is Spotify, this is Pandora, this is even Facebook was downloaded by less people. Snapchat, all these other apps that everybody was talking about all 2016. Messenger was downloaded more than all of them, very quietly though, by like some 450 million people. And it was because the reason it was kind of quiet was because there's no advertising medium, right? You can't go into Facebook ads and say, I want to do an ad to people that when they log into Messenger, they're going to see my ad, because that wouldn't make sense. We wouldn't log in anymore. But so I found that WeChat averages, and actually there's a guy who used to live he used to go to my gym that I used to own. And he said he does like some really cool data insights. And he said, WeChat on average makes $5 every customer. That's their LTV of every customer, or like their monthly LTV of every customer. And he was like, I find it odd. And this was in, again, 2016. He says, I find it odd that Messenger hasn't monetized yet. It's growing faster than everything else. It's super powerful. Facebook requires you to download it, and they haven't monetized. And so right after that, I see Facebook's F8 says, well, we're releasing a public API. So the first thing I did was I went to the website that he said to go to like the developer tools. I went there, and there's a section that talks about the thing that excited me the most, which was entry points. Entry points are the confusing piece for everybody here. Everybody understands Messenger at its core, right? Like, oh, I can send messages to people, and they can send messages back to me. And that's the world that we live in. We live in a very engaging, communicative world. And so here's an interesting stat for you. People are 90% more likely to purchase from the business that answers their request first. It's very simple. Like, if people can't reach you, and we expect this in our business every day, if people can't reach you, they're not going to spend money with you. That's kind of where we're at. And so I'm diving through, and I see the entry points, and they didn't call it that. They called it something else. But and I see in there that there's like these cool new ways that some actions on Facebook can open a message between your business and your potential customer. And I'm like, well, that's interesting, because that's going to be the question that we get. If we build something in Messenger, most people are going to say, well, Messenger's awesome, but how do I make money off it? There's no ads. Like, it's not very like simple to just understand, because there is that kind of complication of like, well, what exactly am I doing to get somebody there? So as I was reading through, I found that the most interesting one to me was when somebody comments on a post or an ad. It's anything on Facebook. If they comment on it and it's from your business is allowed to instantly send them a private message on Messenger. And I thought, how freaking cool is that? And the scenario that went through my mind was, let's drive down the street and pretend the street is the Facebook newsfeed. And as we go, we see friends of ours on our newsfeed, and we kind of don't pay attention to them because, I don't really know them, but they're like kind of my neighbor from 7 streets over. I've seen them 2 or 3 times. I'll keep driving down the street, and I'll see this really cool shirt in a window of a store. And I drive by, and I look at it, and I go, it's pretty cool. And I keep driving. Facebook, all the while, is looking over this and saying, okay, well, Travis liked it, but that didn't really do a whole lot for him. But for the business isn't getting any more money, and nobody's won here. So they keep that in their mind, but they, continue to let it play out in their algorithm whether or not to show this shirt. And so then I said, okay, what if I went to I'm driving down the street, and I go to that same place, and I take a live video, or I take a picture and I text it to some of my friends. That's like a share. And I send it to my friends, and I'm like, how cool is this shirt? Facebook sees me do that, and they say, well, cool, but still nobody's in this guy's store. That doesn't mean that he's getting anything out of it. Shares and likes don't guarantee anything. They just kind of look good. And so then I realized, holy cow, like let's get to the bare bones of it, right? Like this is where things really kind of turned for me when we were able to use this in a good fashion, which was the only thing that's left is commenting. And when you think about it, commenting is the truest form of engagement. Like, here's the thing that I think is great, right? Facebook cares a lot about commenting, and I'm going to prove it to you in like 2 minutes. If I comment on your post and I leave Facebook and somebody else comments on your post, guess what? I'm going to get notified because it's a conversation, right? But if I like your post and leave, I don't get notified if anybody else likes your post or if anybody else comments on your post. It's not engaging because I'm not in the conversation. It'd be like if there was a conversation of 6 people standing next to you and you were on the outside of it and you don't ever say anything, they're not going to notify you if that conversation continues. However, if you jumped in and said, hey guys, this is pretty cool, now they have a reason to remind you. And so I started thinking, man, if I had an ad, and this is where it all came together, if I had an ad that was generating a lot of conversation, that might, number one, boost me in the algorithm a little bit, right? I might get some free traffic because of it, because now there's an engagement, there's a conversation. There's also a reason for people to come back. When they tag their friend in this cool e-commerce video or whatever it is, and their friend then comments, they've got to come back. Now they're seeing my ad 3 times without me having to pay for it, but once. And so I'm like, this is kind of cool. I want to get this going on. So the ability to incentivize engagement because I know that I can send them a message was what really drove me at the beginning. And then we just started kind of playing around, and now we've got basically 3 additional features that are pretty awesome and robust in their own unique ways. But we're focusing most of our energy on entry points. We're focusing on, okay, what's the power of Messenger? How can I use it without having to redo my entire business? I think most, Messenger bots that you're hearing about right now, they're so focused on like building this in-depth funnel that like, oh, well, and if they say yes, then do this. And if they say no, then do that. And it's like, I personally didn't have time to do that. So I thought, I still want to use Messenger, but I just don't want it to be this crazy, has to be its own funnel thing.
You're speaking my language right now, man.
So I thought, okay, Messenger is like, look, Messenger is in everybody's pocket. Messenger is on everybody's device, right? And so I thought, here's a really cool way. Let's imagine, we're sending ads to somebody and they see our ad and they're out at lunch with a friend or whatever it is. Now, if I can get them to comment, it's a much smaller commitment from them, but they're going to instantly get a message from me. Most likely pops up as a notification on their phone that says, hey, awesome. This is, whatever this was, here's the link. Now, when they're eventually sitting down and they're now in a zone where they can, pay attention, they're going to remember that the ad is there. Or when their next friend messages them, my little messenger is still in their inbox. So it just gives you more opportunity to reach the same person. And I think, and I'm sure you guys have seen from doing the ads that you do, the number 1 highest ROI ad of all time is retargeting, right? Like 100%. If you take somebody and you get them to your store one time, they're like, I forget the number, like 450% more likely to buy the second time. And then the third time is like another huge percentage. And the average number, and I'm a stat geek on this side, the average number is 5 times somebody has to see an individual product before buying it. That's average. And Facebook themselves actually said they're finding right now the average life cycle of a buyer is 3 months, meaning it's going to take them 3 months from day one before they purchase. That is average. And most of us forget to continue that follow-up for very long. It's like, oh, we're 20 days in, and it's kind of like, all right, we're out. And so I thought, oh, here's another great way. If the average customer needs to see my product 5 times before they're buying, they're seeing my ad, they comment, now they're getting an instant message from me on Messenger. And maybe if they tagged a friend, they might come back to the ad when their friend comments again. Now we're at 3 and I didn't have to spend any more money. So I'm literally getting 3 times the benefit. And there's the obvious benefits of like when somebody comments, you can send them a link in the Messenger that then sends them somewhere else. But that was like where it started and evolved to. And then I I obviously took to e-commerce because that's a pretty hot spot right now. And I started showing people how to do this in e-commerce. And then I started using it for my own ads. And that's kind of the primary of what I wanted to be able to discuss with everybody today, was how I was able to take this, a normal, very normal ad, an ad that anybody here can do. I swear to you. And I'll even show you, I have it on my desktop. An ad that almost anybody can do. I took that and I changed the way that it performed by taking advantage of the loopholes that Facebook gives us, which now that you've gone through that little, that little discovery, right, that we just went through, now you're thinking, okay, I've got some facts. Fact number one, an ad or a post that gets a lot of comments gets more activity, but, goes through the algorithm more. How can I get more comments? Great question. Obviously, I incentivize commenting. I say, if you comment, I'm going to give you something. And now we go full circle, right? Way back to right when I said when we started, which was, if you can give people what they want without having to feel like you're asking for them in return, it's a win-win. So now what I found, and this is through doing, I've spent, I think we'll see, it's about 30,000, I think, in the last month and a half on Facebook ads. And through doing that, I found that the response is overwhelmingly positive. I thought at first it might be a little negative. If you tell people you're going to send them something and you actually do it, they don't mind as much as I thought they might. I thought it was going to be like, you're a jerk, what are you doing? And it's like, I told you I was going to send you something, and I did. But so I started wrapping all of my ads in that. And actually, I was just talking to a guy who's pretty big in e-commerce today, and he's going to actually work with me on taking one of his stores that's hyper successful. We're going to take some of his products and do a Chatmatic kind of ad on it. And so I'll explain that process, how I use it for webinars internally, how it works for me, and the ad. I can kind of explain the ad setup, but essentially it's just like this: an ad where you're going to get engagement and you're pushing for that. It's a primary objective. It's maybe not a primary objective of the ad, but it's something that's very prominent in the ad. It just does so much better than an ad where you neglect to even look for that level of engagement. So, everybody here who's running any kind of ad, whether you're running it for an agency business, you're running it for other people, you're running it for, e-commerce, whatever it is, one little line. And here's the very first test that I did for Chatmatic on my own webinars was, I said, okay, here's how I'm going to do it. As long as this is profitable in any way, I'm going to spend for this month money testing 2 types of ads. Ad number 1, identical to ad number 2 in every way. Ad number 2 had one line at the end of the ad that said, P.S., comment below, and I will send you a case study outlining the exact method I used for what we're talking about in the upcoming webinar. And everything else was identical. The call to action, the ad, the image, the whole thing was identical. And I thought, okay, I'm going to split test these against the same audiences to see which one brings a higher yield. And I thought, that would be a true test to let me know, am I like barking up the wrong tree? Am I just imagining this stuff because I feel like it's something? And so we spent, it's like $28,999 in March on ads testing this one variable. And the ad that asked for commenting or had anything to do with commenting had a 500% higher return than the one that didn't. And even breaking it down to its most simple, right? Cost per lead and CPM. Those are the 2 most important things that everybody wants to talk about with Facebook. What's your CPM? Don't even talk to me about clicks, because I can show you on this year's F8, Facebook themselves was holding a conference and they said, if you run an ad where you are bidding on clicks, turn it off, stop doing that. And they were like, here's why. And they basically said, my grandma is a clicker. She's known by Facebook as being a clicker, but she doesn't even have a credit card. You don't want clickers. You want conversions, or you want some kind of engagement on Facebook, in which case, obviously, those ads make sense. But if you're bidding on clicks, you're getting people that never end up converting, but yet you want the conversions, which is the weird thing. And so yeah, I ran that ad. It ended up absolutely crushing, and the cost per lead, which is the kind of cool stat, on the ad that didn't ask for comments was $6.18. I can live with that over the course of that ad spend and everything. I can live with $6.18 because I was still profitable, but not as profitable as the ads that asked for commenting, $3.25. So almost cut it in complete half by just asking for comments, because here was the structure. I said, okay, if you comment below, I'm going to send you a case study. When they commented below, they got an instant message from me with the case study. Now, that's done two things. Most basic, right? The first thing it did was it obviously gave them what I said I was going to give them, kind of builds an instant element of trust. And then also, whenever you go into Messenger, you're getting messages from people that you like, right? Because they're friends. Instantly makes me somebody that they are happier to associate with, because they're getting it in a medium where they're used to not being slammed over the head with ads, which is kind of cool. The second thing that it really does is it allows me to put a link where I can link them somewhere else. And so I gave them the case study, and I said, hey, just make sure that you register for the webinar, because when you see what's in this case study, it's going to blow your mind, right? Well, one of the other really cool features of Chatmatic is something that we call our button links. And our button links actually tap into Facebook's sign up with Facebook technology, which we're all familiar with, right? You see a button that says log in with Facebook. When you click that, it then sends a message to Facebook and says, hey, somebody's trying to access this person's email address. Can they have it? And so we built that technology to be versatile so that any user could use it on any link they wanted to. So if I wanted to send you to google.com right now, I could go into Chatmatic, create a button link, and it would ask for your email address as you clicked through. And it would have Facebook's little pop-up thing. And so what I did was this. I said, comment for your case study. When they commented, they got my automatic message, my instant message. In that message was a link to the case study, and then also was a link to sign up. When they click the link to sign up, it pops a little window that says Facebook would like to grab your email address. Do you authorize this? When they click yes, because that looks like it's the only option, to be honest. It's a big blue button, and nobody even thinks about it. You just do it, because now we're so programmed to do it. We just do it. And so people would click that button. It would instantly sign them up for the webinar, and now I can just direct them instantly over to the thank you page. And that was big, because you think about how much. And I have the bigger phone now. I have the iPhone 7 Plus, but when I had the smaller one, if somebody were to ask me for my email address, I almost get like, because I don't want to type with my thumbs. Like, it's like awkward now. Like, it's so funny. And I'd love to hear the feedback from any of you guys who have like a relatively longer email address. Like, mine is my last name dot my first name @gmail.com. And so I've got to like switch to characters and like do all this. Isn't it kind of like instantly demotivating when somebody's like, here, please type your email address? You're like, look, it's 2017. Don't make me type anything. I don't even have to get my keys out to open my car door. I don't have to get my keys out to open my front door. It's all automated, right? Like it knows when you're around. And so this is a technology that removes friction in order to get leads. And so I was getting a lot of leads from this method, right? So my leads, obviously, my cost was going down because there was less friction in the process. And we also installed that same kind of button on our landing page. So it just said like, enter your name and email here or sign up with Facebook. And so you can use it both different ways. And we did. And so, but even kind of cooler from that was the last piece, which was the CPM, the most basic level of Facebook advertising you can ever get, right? Like, how much are you paying to just show your ad to 1,000 people? Most basic statistic you're ever going to measure. My CPM when I did not ask for commenting was $32. My CPM when I did ask for commenting was $20, right? So it cost me less money to reach the same people. Like, easy. There is no other statistic that if you wanted to look at anything else, you would see that one right there saves you money. And so I started taking that idea and we just evolved it and evolved it and evolved it. And I started watching more videos from Facebook. And so coming full circle, I'll kind of explain my latest ad, the way that it works. And I was trying to see, I was going to show this. But
Let me go ahead and get my notebook. I'm going to write this down. I think I want to encourage everybody else to do that as well. My name is Austin Yoshi.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, man. So go ahead, get your notebooks. And also, Travis, while they're doing that, you want to ask them maybe a couple of questions on what they're working on that could maybe help direct the focus of this.
I'd love to know if any of you guys feel like you're stuck on something when it comes to ads, or you feel like maybe there's something particular you'd like me to cover. Feel free. I'd be happy to kind of take any of your questions as we go, because the basics of this are going to go by pretty quick. And somebody said, my ads are dying fast. Victor, how long have you been running your ads? Somebody said, any thoughts about using this to sell tickets to a concert? James, somebody just did this, right? The same idea for selling tickets to a football game. So a similar idea. They ran a contest and they said, we're giving away 2 tickets to this big football game. Tag a friend below, do this to register for this little contest, right? Well, they then had, obviously they had Chatmatic, where if anybody commented, it would instantly send them another message that said like, hey, you're officially entered. Here's where you can go to get this thing, other tickets or whatever. And here you can get 15% off these or whatever it is. Victor, if your ads are dying after 5 to 10 days, you're probably, okay. So you said Facebook doesn't like short audiences. We'll touch on that. We will absolutely touch on that, because the way that I'm doing this, I actually reached out to a guy that I know Austin knows really well, David Schloss, and I reached out to him and I'm like, David, I'm running this thing. I'm doing ads my way because I've never taken a course. I've never had a teacher teach me Facebook. It's just always been, hey, let's waste some money, right? Like, let's just blow some money, and I'm going to figure this out as I go, because I have a different mentality. Like, it's kind of weird. I'm the guy who like bangs his head against the wall until the wall eventually opens up. Most people would bang their head one time and be like, all right, well, I got to find somebody who can break this wall down. And so I'm just really willing to like just keep nailing my head against it. But somebody said, how do you know which Facebook ad to use for your fan page posts? We'll talk about that kind of. Okay, cool. Awesome. So check this out. So here's kind of the primary of what I'm doing. Number one that I think you guys should take away from the notes of this is the most important thing that I think changed my ads for me was switching from, and again, I'm having this conversation with an agency owner who spends 6 figures a month, and I tell him this and he's like, I don't see how that can work. I didn't think that would work. Last F8, guys who run the Facebook advertising platform or the marketing platform, whatever it was, they did a live video and they were taking these live questions. And one of the questions was, hey, lifetime budget versus daily budget. And I'm like kind of only half listening. And I'm like, I don't really care about this one. Like, I'll, whatever. The guy straight up says, he's like, this guy was in charge of part of the algorithm. And he says, the algorithm functions better under a lifetime budget. And I'm like, that's interesting. And so he keeps going and he says, think about it. If you put a restriction on us and the restriction only lets me do something for 24 hours, I can't let the system utilize the information that it's created over the last, 10 years, 12 years. He's like, perfect example of this is if you're bidding on conversions and you're selling tickets to a concert. He said, you might give me a daily budget of $100 and you start the ad on Tuesday. And he says, my algorithm might know that your buyers only buy on Friday. So it wants to spend your money on Friday, not on Tuesday. But you're forcing it to spend money on Tuesday. So what happens to you? You look at the ad and say, this is a failure because I can't continue to spend this over the course of 7 days when the ad's not converting. Facebook knows the best times. Like when you're bidding on a conversion, let's say it's a purchase, right? And you've already got a couple of purchases. When you say, I want to get a purchase, they're going to go through their algorithm of your entire audience and they're going to say, okay, who here is a purchaser who has also fired a purchase pixel somewhere else? It's not micro like we want it to be, right? It's not, oh, well, I'm bidding on a purchase. Until I have a purchase, Facebook's not going to know who my audience is. Do they utilize your purchases to correct their own algorithm? Of course they do. That's what the optimization is in your ad, right? But if you start with a purchase, they're going to come out and say, okay, who purchases from accounts like this? They've got a ton of data in your account, right? They know who visits your website. They know who adds stuff to your cart. They know who opts into your list. They have a ton of information on the lower ends of your funnel, and they know they're in the lower ends of your funnel because they know a lead comes before a sale. They know an add to cart comes before a sale. So they already have all this information. You're telling them what you want out of them, and then doing a lifetime budget allows them to say, okay, now I've got more time to work. Because here's another thing that it gets even more sort of micro analyzed from that. And that is, let's say, for instance, you're running an ad and it's, or scaling. Here's where the problem comes in. Let's say you're scaling on a daily budget. Travis, when do I scale? Every single time I scale, my conversion goes down. Well, two things. Number one, that's going to happen as you decrease the available audience and you increase your spend. Your ads are going to cost a little bit more, but that should be within reason, right? You shouldn't go from $10 sale to $50. You've scaled wrong. You're asking too much of them under a condition that they cannot perform, right? So daily budgeting, you end up screwing yourself. Now, am I here to say that daily budgeting can't work? No, of course. There's plenty of people using daily budgeting, but here's what I'll tell you. When it comes to the leads that I've done, I am talking to this guy who's a 6-figure ad agency consultant. He runs ads for other people. And I showed him my ad and he goes, this doesn't make any sense. You're in the same niche.
About Schloss?
Yeah. He goes,
dude, we're going to have him on a masterclass on October 14th.
You can feel free to ask him about our conversation because I know he's trying it now with real estate and it's crushing the lifetime budget. Because what happens is, let's say you, and actually, this next little sentence here is regurgitating what I can remember from this video, and I wish I had saved the video. But the guy says, look, if you're trying to spend $10 a day and you're going to run this ad for 2 weeks, give me $140. Don't give me $10 a day. He said, because if you give me $140, now I know what you're expecting to spend. Number one. Number two, if you run ads at $10 a day and you're trying to get a $30 sale, never going to happen, especially not in day one. Or if you're trying to get, X amount of leads, it's going to be tough. But when you give them a lifetime budget of $140, they're going to say, okay, hey, this is actually pretty good. Another suggestion they gave, which I think is interesting, and it doesn't apply to leads as much. It can work for leads, and I've had it work for them. But switching from an automatic bid to a manual bid after it started to perform. So I actually got a notice in my account the other day. I was running a campaign and we were at like 600 leads in one day, which is one of the best days I've had. 600 cold targeting leads in one day. And the little pop-up came up and it said, your ads are performing really well. You can switch to a manual budget at $4 per lead and it'll still perform. I'm like, why? At this point, I was paying $3.40 a lead at 600 leads in a single day. I'm never going to change that. So going back to getting a little bit more on point with the full structure of it is, I said, okay, I want to run this ad for 5 days. So I started it on Sunday because I'm running a webinar on a Thursday. I don't want to start the ads on Friday because nobody opts in on Friday, and if they do, they don't remember it. Also hard to do it on Saturday. If I do it on Saturday, more people are running around. It's going to cost me more anyway. So I said, okay, let's go from Sunday at midnight, like Sunday AM, all the way till Thursday, the time of the webinar. So I set the ad up to run that, and I ran a lifetime budget. And I said, okay, if we're sitting at, say, I don't know how many ad sets that would be. Oh, I'll explain how many ad sets we get to.
And Travis, I want to introduce you. This is Austin Troyer and the rest of EA Nation. He is our most recent hire. He's our traffic guy now.
Oh, nice.
What's going
What's going
This is
on?
Travis.
Awesome.
We're live on a webinar.
Awesome. Travis, EA, how's it going?
I'm Austin.
Welcome.
So you got two
So
Austins here. So we're talking about traffic right now, and
where?
Travis dropped a bomb talking about doing lifetime budget versus a daily budget, which we're scaling every day. Right now, we're trying to break over the $2,000 per day mark between the two companies. So this is
Yeah,
really relevant for
lifetime
us.
would be huge because the problem that I come out to is the strategy that most people use is, hey, let's break it down by age group, and we'll break it down by male and female, and we'll break it down by device, and that's fine. But you end up getting these super small audiences that are nearly impossible to scale. What I like to do, and it sounds counterintuitive. Again, this is why David Schloss is looking at me going, how does this work? I set my audiences up, and this is the real gold when it comes to audience selection. I set my audiences up in 3 tiers. Tier number 1 is my inherited audiences. So if anybody who has opted into my list or purchased a product of mine is tier 1, right? They're my best audience. They're the ones that I know they're going to respond well. Even if my ad sucks, they're going to do pretty well usually. Then I have tier 2. Tier 2 is anybody who has engaged with one of my ads, meaning, the engagement audiences that you can create on Facebook now. Whether they viewed a video of mine or they went to my fan page, any form of engagement whatsoever, that's my tier 2. So, or if they went to a website of mine. So if this means tier 1 being customers and opt-ins, tier 2 being visitors and people who have taken any kind of action on my website, on my fan page. So it's literally just like tire kickers-ish. But I do it in those 3 tiers for one big reason, because what it allows me to do is it allows me to get a larger audience all the way up. Tier 2 is easier to scale, right? Because there's more people who just visited my website. Now what I do is this, and the 3rd tier is only in my lookalikes. Now I do a lookalike of my customers. That's tier 1. That's what I call lookalike tier 1. So then I do a lookalike of all of my engagement, a lookalike of all of my website visitors. That's lookalike tier 2. Both of these are like 4.5 million people in these audiences, right? And so what scares a lot of people is like, that's too big of an audience. Let me explain why this works. Tier 3 is the 2 to 5% lookalikes. So these are like really probably not that good of people for my offer. So here's what I do. In my inherited tier 1 and tier 2, the people who have opted into my list or engaged in my page in some way, I use no additional targeting. I don't separate it by male or female. I don't separate it by age group. I do nothing. Because again, let's imagine I've got a pool of 150,000 people, and I say, Facebook, give me as many leads as you can over this period of time from this 150,000 people. Day 1, literally day 1, I'm getting leads at like $2.08, 10 cents. I'm like, all right, cool. Tier 2 is performing really well. And because I've got let's say it's a 5-day schedule, and I put that one ad set up for $1,000 for the 5 days, I can now add 20% to that. Now it goes to 1,200. Here's why the scaling on this is so awesome. Not only does the amount that I'm willing to spend go up, but the time frame in which Facebook can do it goes down. So I'm telling them, okay, now I need to spend more, and you're going to have to spend it in that same time frame. So you'll see in this model, if you do a 5-day webinar like this, you'll see the cost remains relatively consistent, but every single time, every day that you scale, I scale twice, once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Because again, there is no morning and afternoon when you're doing a lifetime budget. It's just, if you did 3 days, it'd be 72 hours. There is no right and wrong time to scale when it's done that way, because they'll spend your money when they find it best to spend your money. If they don't think anybody's going to opt in at 2 o'clock, they don't spend at 2 o'clock. So I run that tier 1 and tier 2, no additional targeting, and it allows me to scale really, really well. Then my lookalikes are the ones that I'm the most concerned with, because these are the audiences that I haven't inherited. I don't know anything about them. It's cold audience. And so what I do is on tier 1, my lookalike of my buyers, I use, again, no additional targeting. And it's like a lot of people have said, like that frightens me, because that's 4.5 million people And if I tell Facebook that I want to spend, you're doing it 5 days and you put up $500, it'd be $100 a day technically. I don't want to be out of $100 before I figure out if it works. You won't be. You'll know in the first $30, just like you normally would if it looks like it's going to convert. The problem is it's just harder for some people to put that bigger number up, to be like, you're not going to spend more than $40 before you realize I'm trying to get leads. I'm not getting any leads. Okay. Then your ad is still your problem. Your audience is probably good, but you should still turn the ad off. Like, that doesn't change in this equation. What does change is if I start with $500 and it looks like it's going well, I can instantly jump to 700, and now the time is less. Even if it's only 3 hours, right? There's a little bit less time for them to evenly spend my budget. So what I normally do is I'll put on my large audiences, I'll put like a huge budget for whatever the time frame is. So if it's 5 days, I'll put $5,000. I'll know right away is if it's spending correctly and like I look like I'm getting good lead costs. The first day I just let it go. I'll let it run at 1,000. And I think the most I scaled to in a 5-day ad cycle was like $3,800 in a day. I was able to get from literally brand new ad on Sunday morning to $3,800 on Thursday, not including the like reminder message that I was also sending. But that setup where you have these big bulk audiences, especially for those of you guys looking to be able to do this and you already got somewhat of a winning business model. We did in real estate. There was a guy who was running a product in real estate. He was selling like a real estate video creator thing. He was normally averaging $13 a lead. He used my method at $2.86 a lead. And he was profitable at $13 a lead. So at $2.86, it was insane. But it's just because, again, one of the first things I said was Facebook has its rules. Facebook has its thing, the way that it does its thing, and it wants you to play within that sort of mind frame. And this lifetime budget, being told by the guy at Facebook, basically said, lifetime budget, we can perform better. Even if it's 1 day, you don't want to do 1 day, but it'll perform better knowing, hey, you're not requiring this of me in 24 hours. I can kind of do what I need to do over the course of this time. That's going to be your biggest friend is jumping to that lifetime budget, give it enough time to really monetize or to like optimize. And then first thing in the morning, I look at it and I say, okay, hey, look, these ones are already doing pretty well. And I'll just bump them up 20%. And so you've got basically every ad that I create has 5 ad sets. And those 5 ad sets, I scale both twice a day. The really kind of nice thing is, and this is why I was so confused, especially when talking to somebody like David who knows what he's talking about. I'm like, man, it's so much easier to scale 5 ad sets than it is 500. Like, I don't have to worry about turning a bunch of them off, like all this. And Facebook, kind of listening to that same video was like, look, when you target 18 to 25-year-old men on mobile phones, you're not even giving us an option to look for the people that we think are more likely to opt in. You're literally forcing us to spend money in a niche where we don't think your buyers are or your leads are. So just let us run the whole thing, right? We're kind of good at what we do. And it's just funny because as of like 4 months ago, that was so counterintuitive to what I was teaching people even. I was teaching when you have a big pool of people, it's so hard to identify who your buyer is. You need to whittle it down, whittle it down, whittle it down.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, because David Schloss is our mentor for doing Facebook ads, and it sounds like you guys are close as well.
That's how he does it.
Yeah, and so we used to pretty much separate everything. We are right now by male and female, audiences, placement. What else are you doing?
Age.
I mean, those are the main ones. Yeah, age is another one as well.
I mean, look. That's the weird thing. So here's
guys, if you get anything away from this masterclass here, take that away. Like, I hope you guys have a pretty big notepad right here, guys. And wait, can you guys not hear me? You said you can't hear when I speak. Can you guys give me a 1 if you guys can hear me if I speak?
Yeah,
awesome. Thanks, Roger.
Okay.
Very cool. Very cool. So look, guys, and somebody else named Austin can't hear as well. Guys, maybe just turn up your on your phone, your microphone if you're watching
It's
this on
probably
mobile.
too many Austins in the room.
Way too many Austins,
Yeah.
man. I think something happened in the 90s where they're just like, Austin it is.
Yeah. We got no name. Austin. This looks like an Austin.
Yeah. I think it might be the hair. Everybody thinks he's Sam Ovens, though, which is pretty funny.
I've heard that. When he sat down, I saw it. It's the hairdo.
And the 5 o'clock.
Yeah, and the scrub.
Shadow.
That's funny.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say if anything too on like a last minute note there is don't overthink what Facebook has spent hundreds of millions of dollars perfecting. Their ads platform is not some scientific equation. Now, every one of my ads, I ask for commenting, right? I do the little things that I think might give me a small uptick. Do I think that if, everybody here went and grabbed Chatmatic, they would instantly have ads like mine? No, because it's not just about having the small things. It's just like if everybody here had proof, would they instantly have an awesome converting squeeze page? No, because you might be reaching the wrong audience with the wrong thing that they don't want. So, but for me, it's like, okay, I know there are certain things that give me a 5 to 15% boost. And when I saw the statistics of a split test between, Chatmatic ad and not, I thought, well, that's going to be something that I continue to use forever because I've now done my due diligence. I know that commenting is something that Facebook finds important. I know I reach people cheaper. I know that it then gives me another opportunity to reach somebody who's a potential customer. And I've had people message me and say, in the messenger, like, I'm sold, man. This was cool. This one feature was great. And so, those kind of things make all the difference in the world. But to sum up, to make it even easier, number one, what you got to do, lifetime budget, obviously. Number two, don't overanalyze your own audience, right? Like we run a small Shopify store mostly for testing. And this store is an iPhone case store. The reason I did that was because I wanted something to audience target against. And I'm like, all right, well, guess what? If you've got an iPhone 7, you're the only one who can buy an iPhone 7 case, right? Like, I'm not going to market that to iPhone 6s, 5s, Androids. I instantly have one thing that I can pin against. From there, it's usually almost everybody's smart enough to figure out the rest. Like, oh, if I'll also target people who like Apple. Like, okay, give that a shot. Run it up. Like, don't worry so much about like, does Apple convert versus, like Apple lovers and Apple fans and Apple, geeks. I don't worry about that nearly as much because Facebook knows, like, and they're going to tell you, and they'll tell you pretty quickly. I mean, if you're running for sales, if you're doing conversions for sales, that's not exactly, the easiest thing. And somebody said, how long should my lifetime budget for ongoing products, weeks or month? So Jason, here's my suggestion for that. And we've been kind of playing around with this ourselves lately.
Could you repeat Jason's question, by the way, for the replay?
Yeah. He said, how long should my lifetime be for ongoing products, meaning my lifetime budget? Should it be a week? Should it be a month? Here's what I would say to do. Okay, two things. Number one, I'm always going to answer with this. And I know like there's a couple people here who know me. Try both. Like, you're going to find out real quick if running an ad for a week and then refreshing it and doing it again, if that works, awesome. One thing that I did find that didn't work so well for me when I was scaling was, well, no, let me break that up. It works on a short-term basis. It didn't work on a long-term. Was when I was scaling my ads, I thought, okay, now I'm spending like a ton. Why don't I duplicate the ad set, which is a great way to scale, by the way. Just duplicate the winning ad set and don't touch it. It's weird, but Facebook will spend money on both of them and they're both going to convert pretty well. But
do you duplicate it and then start it back at the original budget?
So it keeps the same budget as the original. Yeah. So now it's got even less time to spend money and same budget. So it's got to go. I don't start it at its original
what I was
budget.
told by David, basically, in how we scale, it's like that's horizontal scaling. And so what we'll do is we'll duplicate the exact same budget, but if we've already scaled this vertically, to, let's say, from starting at $15 up now to 75. When we duplicate the ad set, we'll start it back down. The
15.
second one back down at 15 and vertically scale that again.
So again, now here's where we end up confusing other people as well. Like,
of course,
we're talking also about two different strategies. So how his works for the horizontal scaling, that method where you've got all the individual ad sets, that probably makes sense, because when you duplicate an ad set that only has 30,000 people in it, you don't want to keep both budgets high, because now you're probably spending too much for that audience. What I do is I have such a big, massive audience that when I could duplicate 4 or 5 times. And with a 4 million person audience, they're never going to reach the same people. I mean, in a 5-day span, spending $2,000 on average every single day, I reach like 90,000 people. So, because I'm in a more, obviously our niche is relatively expensive, but again, and I would suggest testing this on your own level, right? So if you want to do a 5-day test and you're going to spend $500 on day 1, when you spend 100 and then you duplicate that, and you've got one of your ad sets now spends 20 because you've scaled it and it's complementary to another one, see how it performs and take notes, because that's going to be the only way that it makes sense for you guys. Everybody's account, and nobody should tell you otherwise. My account has different data in it than Austin's account. If I don't have as much lead data in my account for Facebook to base its like second piece of its algorithm against, it's going to make different decisions for me than it is for him. Everybody's account's going to get a little bit different. Now, doesn't mean you can't generate sales, doesn't mean you can't start from scratch and be able to build it. It just means that the decision-making process is going to be a little bit different based on the actual account from what I've seen. But what I would totally suggest giving it a shot. Now, my gut to that original question, how long should I set my lifetime? My gut tells me 2 weeks. Do a 2-week test where whatever your daily budget normally would be, make that for 2 weeks, and be willing to let it still go the 3 days. It's not going to overspend. Everybody, the number one thing most people say is like, oh, well, what if I have a $100 budget and it spends all $100 in day 1? Facebook's algorithm does not work that way. They know the lifetime that you're willing to spend money is how long it should spend money. It won't spend it all up front. So don't worry about that. Trust me. I wish it did, because I had a couple ads where like the day I launched them, they were at like 220. And I'm like, please spend more, spend all of my budget right now. This is like the hot minute. And I even scaled one ad, like I doubled the ad budget because I knew it was going to go up in cost. But I was like, if I went from 230 to 350, I'm still stoked. And I'm okay with that, but it still didn't spend as fast as I want. But I saw another question. Do you think that scaling model still applies when you're tied to a geographic area with limited people? No. When you add any additional filter to an audience, decreasing its size, so much more difficult to scale. 100% more difficult to scale. However, that's a much easier campaign to keep evergreen, because you're always in the same spot. If you're spending $10 a day and making money, one of the biggest mistakes people make is, I got to spend 20, 30, 50. You've got a small audience, let it roll at 10 for a while. Then try duplicating an ad set when you think, okay, we're starting to slip a little. Now I'll duplicate an ad set. I'll try something to scale it that way. I don't like when somebody says, and this happened to me recently. Somebody was like, I have a client who's in the cleaning business in like Saskatchewan, Canada, something like great, where I'm like, I don't know anything about any of this. And he's like, I want to, roll my ad. I'm spending like $15 a day successfully. We're getting leads. And I tried going to 20 and I flopped. And I'm like, tell me more about the ad and everything. And then eventually I got to, well, how many people are in your audience? And he's like, 7,800. And I was like, and I looked at his frequency, and his frequency was like 19. And I'm like, you're running the same ad to the same people way too frequently, like way too often. And it's not your fault. You didn't know because you didn't think about how big your audience was. And as you're spending more, there's not that much you can do. And Jim says, looks like this newbie has a lot to learn. One thing I hope that I can share with all of you guys is, when I first ran my first Facebook ad, I probably lost like $2,800, $3,000. trying to figure out different things and like listening to little headlines that I was getting from other people about what was successful for their ads. Like, perfect example, guy that I respect the heck out of and you'd be smart to follow is Nicholas Kuzmich. Great Facebook ads guy, like brilliant. Facebook, like 6 months ago, he was, in your link description on your ads, make it say like, a bunch of less than signs and then click here. And like after I saw that, I started doing it. The next day I got a denial on my ad and I'm like, what happened? They had just changed their terms to say now it has to be representative of the URL you're sending people to. So you can't send people to proof.com and be showing them something that says click here. So again, here's this guy who legitimately I would pay money to run my ads for me, and I think I'm pretty good. He preached something for a while, and then Facebook changes. So you just got to always keep that in mind. And the number one
marketers ruin everything, don't we?
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. Especially when they're like Facebook is on this aggressive front to like be ahead of what we're going to try to do, and that's what's making it funny. Is like even today, I was generating some ads for a new campaign that I'm running, and every one of them is getting denied today. Every one of them, and I thought, what is happening? I go in and I look at why they're being denied. And it says, we don't allow via our advertising policy for you to make claims. Your claims, you can't say, and it was, it gives you like one example. And it says, you can't say lose 10 kilograms in a week because you're making a promise or a claim. So I'm like, okay, maybe somewhere in my ad, which I never try to do, there's a claim that I missed this one time. So I redo my ad like, okay, only talk about myself, right? That's always allowed is, I did this. Come see how I did this. And I redo my ad, post it, instantly denied. And it says, you've got a problem, fix it. So I go in, same issue, same claims thing. So I'm like, all right, I'm literally whittling down my ad from like, because this is the only way that I can test to figure out if they're having an issue or if I am. And they just recently rolled out, Power Editor is now Ads Manager. It's all the same. They just combined them. So there is no more Power Editor. And they said you should expect some glitches. And so I'm going through. I tried to submit an ad. This is no joke. That was an 8-second silent video with nothing on it, with one line of text that said register here, and it got denied for claims. And I'm like, I don't know what claim I could be making in showing this ridiculous blank screen video with a line that says register here. I'm not promising even that this ad will be seen by anybody. Like, so they were just having so many issues and glitches that I said, okay, well, today's one of those days where, and I know there's so many people here, especially entrepreneurs, that there's those days where you feel like if you're not moving forward, you're actually going backwards. Like, I can't stay here, even if here is good, right? Like, make X amount every single day. Cool. I don't make X plus $1. I start to feel like antsy and like depressed. And so I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do it. And I'm like, I'm fidgeting with all my ads. And I was like, screw it. I'm making a new course. So I'm like, I'm going to make, and I outlined this here, like a complete Facebook ad strategy guide of all the stuff that I've kind of gone through and some of the basics and stuff. And I'm like, I'll outline that course. And I'm like, I got that done. And I'm like, I'm going to do a live video doing one of these training videos live, because otherwise, like, I was going to like kind of lose it with Facebook ads, not doing what they needed to do. But yeah, my biggest thing to preach to all of you guys is please, please, please test. And I'm the kind of guy, like, if you want to test and you send me and you're like, hey, Travis, go find me on Facebook, send me a message and be like, hey, I was thinking about testing this. Here's a link to my ad. What are your thoughts? Here's how I broke it down. I'll try to get back to as many of you as I can, because I'm the kind of guy who I respect the heck out of the people who are willing to like go that extra step, because 99% of people who call themselves entrepreneurs, they don't have the one thing that they need, which is the ability to constantly fail. Like, look for ways that you can make mistakes, because eventually you'll figure it out. I'm not a software programmer. I have no idea how they write code. And in fact, 2 days ago, my programmer, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, my programmer took over control of my laptop. Like, we did one of those team viewers. He took over control of my laptop and he's like, I have to debug something, but it's only happening to you. Let me control your laptop. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm sitting back and I'm like literally in awe. He's clicking around so fast and typing things and copying stuff and then sending it to himself and all this. And I'm like, that makes me feel good that I'm paying somebody to do this, because I couldn't learn how to do that fast enough to replicate it. But the very first time I ever hired somebody to do stuff, I had to learn. And even with Chatmatic, a phenomenal software, I hired a team that didn't hold up their end of the bargain, lost a ton of money from it, but I learned what to look for the next guys. The guys who are in there now are awesome. So experimentation is the number one thing that I would suggest for a lot of you guys.
That is so true. Hey man, I want to be respectful of your time. So as we start wrapping up here, I think what I'm most curious about is what kind of engagement ads have you seen the best performance on the creative side? So we've talked a lot about the back end scaling and all of that. What does it look like? How do we get that entry point into Chatmatic and start the conversation in there?
Yep. So the engagement itself, kind of the nice thing is, there's different layers to it. A lot of people look at the Facebook Messenger ad as the way to get somebody into Messenger, and you can totally do that. But there's all sorts of like JSON stuff, which I don't even know what that stands for, honestly. But I don't mess with that stuff. I think, okay, I want my normal ad. This is where people overthink it. So let's take a step back. I want my normal ad that normally converts for me, or that I think would do really well, and I'm going to add an element to it to get people engaged. Now, I'll explain this in the two different variables that we would use it in most commonly, which is e-commerce. E-commerce, two of the most successful ads that we're seeing right now. Number one is a contest or a giveaway. Contest and giveaway, phenomenal. You can say, step one, comment below doing this. Now, you do want to be careful in a giveaway, because you don't want to say that they have to tag a friend or share it on their wall in order to qualify. So what I do is step one, like our page. Step two, click the link below where you'll be sent to register. Step three, what I do is step two, comment me below and we'll send you a link to register. Now I've gotten their comment, so that engagement is massive. The engagement helps our post reach more people. And then I also send the message for them to register through that messenger message. Gets them into chat, gets them into the messenger. So that's a great e-commerce way. A guy, great example of this, launched a brand new store and he did a $200 giveaway to his store. And he did the same rules. Comment to get your link to apply. When they commented, they got a link that sent them to a page that said, hey, you're an early bird. Here's 10% off everything in our entire store. Go nuts. He did like $4,800 in sales in like $500 ad spend, because his niche was passionate. It was actually in the pagan niche, like the religion pagans. So crazy. It was like some print on demand stuff that was like all Sheba'd out. I don't know. It was weird, but crushed it for him. And I'm like, are you pagan? He's like, no, there's just a lot of money in it. I was like, all right, yeah, nice move. And so that's one ad that really works. The other one is on your normal e-commerce ads. What I'll always tell everybody to do, and this is a bare minimum suggestion, is one of the things that, look at what the people are saying about your current ad when they're commenting normally. See what they're saying. In e-commerce, most of them are going to say one of two things: too expensive or too much for shipping. I won't pay that much for shipping. Use the comment to drive that fear away of, hey, comment for a 10% off discount coupon and we'll send you a 10% discount. Or if you have enough margin in your product, comment below for free shipping, right? Instantly. Free shipping is that validator for so many people. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if my wife bought something while we've been on this call just because it said it was free shipping. Like, free shipping or little discounts, almost all of us are willing to buy as long as we can justify in our mind with the one sentence of, but it was on sale. That's almost all the time. That's all we need. But it was on sale. I didn't need this. Like, I don't need this many light bulbs that are Edison light bulbs, but they were, if you buy 3, you get 1 or something like that. It's like, that's how we end up, that's how we buy as people. So that's a great e-commerce advantage, is have them comment. And another key, don't just tell people to comment, tell them what to say, because you take away the barrier for.
I hope everybody's writing that down. That was good.
They're going to see your ad and you're going to say, comment below for this. Everybody does that. Comment below. I look at that ad and I say, what do you want me to say? I don't want to what do you want me? What do you want from me? You're supposed to be giving me, and you want me to say something. I don't have anything to say. But if you make it easy, so here's a couple of things that I've done with that. I've actually said, comment www.chatmatic.com to get the thing. And so there's like 500 people commenting with links to my website. It's super cool.
How does that help your SEO?
It did actually help my traffic. I'm a top 60,000 website in the world right now because of so much traffic actually going over. Or you can do tag a friend who needs this, or tag a friend who could benefit, whatever. As soon as you tag a friend, that's going to be, if they actually tag a friend, that's going to be a big one. I run it that way with those kind of comments. Tell them what to say. Make sure it's positive, something positive that you want them to say. Or like, for instance, webinars. I have everybody say either see you soon, I'll be there, or show me, right? I want it to feel personal. And another really cool benefit is, imagine what happens when, I'm going to use your name, Charlene, sees my ad and there's 500 comments on it. Instantly, she's more interested than if there was none. Period. Guarantee you every single time, that social validation of like other people are doing it, right? It's proof. It's real social proof on Facebook. We're able to actually kind of build our own proof on our ads that like, hey, this is super cool. And then in like the more business sense or the IM niche, some of the ways that I've done this, and this is like phenomenal. And I'll actually explain the exact campaign that I did that got me 1,800 leads for $0. Literally no money, 1,800 leads, good qualified business leads that I would have had to have paid way more money to get. And somebody said, opinion on brand awareness ads or traffic ads. I wish they would get rid of both. That's my opinion. They should get rid of both, because neither of them are going to do anything for you, especially if you're not running Pepsi. Like, they're not going to do anything for you. But this is an ad I did. I went to a designer and I said, hey, I want to take every possible audience targeting feature from Facebook and create a graphic of it. So I want to show them all the possible things that you can target, demographics, age groups, all this. So we did this nice big graphic, and I post the whole graphic on my fan page, like an image of the entire graphic, which, as we all know, that graphic's pretty big. And so when it posted, it showed the whole thing, but the words were too small to read. So I said, every week I teach Facebook ads, yada, yada, yada. I used my website and said, wealth3.com/weekly, which is where I hold a weekly training webinar. And I said, P.S., if you want the high resolution version of this Facebook ads targeting template, comment awesome below. So I got a couple of people commenting on my own fan page. Then here's what I did. And this is the master trick for so many of you guys who want free leads. I then clicked the share button. I then said share to group. And I shared it into every Facebook ad group, every Shopify ad group, every marketing on Facebook group, every business group, every Facebook ads group. Swear to God, paid nothing else for ads. And I ended up generating, I think now it's like 1,600 leads. I still get leads every week from this because people go through the history of these social channels. And the beautiful thing is, there's not, when I share it into these groups, there is not a single link in my post, right? Like, it doesn't say comment, or it doesn't say like, here's the link where you can download. It just says, hey guys, saw this, wanted to share with the group. Hopefully you get some benefit from it, right? Like, I'm adding value to them, not asking for anything in return. And this would have been probably the best ad of my life, but the picture that I was using, it was all text. So I couldn't promote it. I tried to do it and they were like, we can't show your ad to anybody because your ad is like 98% text. There's like almost no images in it. And I couldn't think of a really good way to like break that out without, taking the whole image away. So, but you guys can do that same strategy in every single niche. come up with something cool. This cost me $150, guys. The image cost me $150, and people can print it now. Like the ones who downloaded it, they can print it, and it's got every option that you can target by. Find something that people want, right? Like something that people in your market want, regardless of what it is. Figure out a really cool way you can kind of infographic spin it, like explaining how this exists, or random example. Let's say you're in the paleo space. Do a 10 easiest ways to ensure that you're paleo or something like that. And just a little infographic with some cool pictures. Find every paleo group you can find, share it into that group. If your fan page is like Paleo Superstar and you share it into paleo groups, they're going to see that it comes from you personally, not from Paleo Superstar. They don't know that you own Paleo Superstar. Now you're going to get tons of free traffic. The problem with mine was when I shared Travis Stevenson's fan page post via Travis Stevenson's personal page, they were like, you schmuck. Like a lot of people were actually like, oh, you just took, you're just trying to, put us in your funnel and all this stuff. And I was like, look, man, you can absolutely go and comment and download and not follow my link to register for my auto webinar if you don't want to. No harm, no foul. But, I'm giving you enough value that I don't care that you're mad. Like you can literally print this thing up and use it and like put a, marker to it or use a pencil. So, again, there are so many really cool ways that you can use this commenting feature where, think of it as what do you call it? Think of it as a loss leader, the commenter tool. Like what can you send somebody? What are you hoping that they're going to be interested in enough in to opt into your funnel? Switch your thinking and change it to what can I give them via the comment that will get them in my funnel? It's the same as an opt-in form. It just gets them into the funnel via the comment versus the normal click, because some of those people need a couple of things to feel more secure about it. So I'm telling you, there are so many really cool and unique ways that you guys can not only use that commenting feature, but we have like Chatmatic itself has a bunch of other really cool features. But with your ads, try those little things, those little changes, like go over the top with how you're thinking about doing something. Even if you're marketing a charger case for an iPhone, I'm thinking in my mind already, that's one of the sites that we're getting ready to play around with. We're already thinking about trying to do that as well. Like, how can I take this charger case for an iPhone and make it something like different? And the two ways that we found is, number one, current events. So I could be like, marketing, hey, 60% of the state lost electricity during Hurricane Irma. Don't lose your cell phone battery. There's an instant way to kind of chime in on current events. Or the other one would be either via a giveaway, or how can I play on an emotion that we've all had at some point when our phone dies? And it's as simple as taking another phone or a different phone, and when your battery gets to the point where it says you've got 10%, just video that or take a picture of that. A 9-second video of you literally holding your phone and videoing that it says 9% battery life or 10% battery life, and then run that as your ad for a backup charger. You're giving people a reason to buy it. So when you do those things, again, that last minute little tweak of, hey, and comment below for 10% off. Or, if I was doing a sort of Hurricane Irma-ish style, don't lose your phone battery, I would do something like comment below and we'll send 10% of your purchase to, a Hurricane Irma, recovery fund or something, in which case I would also very much do. I wouldn't tell people you're going to do it and not. But it's a game. We get to play a very, very cool, interesting game that Facebook just set a lot of rules for. And the problem that most people have when it comes to whether they fail or succeed is they are trying to play the game just like A-Rod or just like Peyton Manning, right? Like, you can't play the game just like everybody else is playing the game. And I see ads every single day. Hire me as your agency, and if you don't get results, I don't get paid. And it's a picture of themselves, like their face, right in your face, and it says, get results or I don't get paid. And it's like, look, I love the idea of that. find another way to tell that message, because that's such a great promo, but everybody else is doing the same thing. Why are they going to choose yours over somebody else? That's why I hate when people teach, the ad method of use this exact copy. Don't use your own copy. Use this exact copy, this word right here. Unless it's a super small niche, it's going to get exhaustive quick. And yeah, Don, Chatmatic has all of the comment capabilities, so to speak. And then some extra ones as well. Like we have a way that you can build messenger, basically messenger email lists, where you can actually most of you who are here from me, you got a message through Messenger saying that that we were coming up and doing this. I love sharing as much information as I can, but, and so that's why I'm happy to have invited you guys. But we even have a setting in Chatmatic where you can build basically a squeeze page that when somebody clicks send a messenger, it opts them in via Facebook. And so you don't get their email address, but when you go to broadcast to them, that broadcast gets sent into Messenger, which, I mean, just looking at the results even here from my last broadcast, I know you guys can't see it, but I'll read what they were. My last Messenger broadcast got 54.4% opens currently and 8% clicks, which 8% clicks across 3,000 people. I got 200 clicks from 3,000 people. And, the math on that is unheard of. You'd have to have 30,000 people on your email list to get the same thing. So is it a different click? Yes. Is it a different kind of marketing? Of course it is. But is it still something that you should absolutely be addressing? Yes. 100%. You should be looking at it and saying, man, people check Messenger way more often than they check email now. If I can get engaged with people via Messenger, where there's all these cool tie-ins where, who knows, in 3 years, you might be one of the people who controls like a lot of Messenger real estate. And that's when the real estate's going to be worth the most, right? Oh, I've got a following of 50,000 people on Messenger. Well, now all of a sudden you are the new YouTube celebrity, right? Like when you have that many people in Messenger, it's going to lead you somewhere at some point. You're going to be the guy who everybody looks at in 3 years and it's like, oh, he's got it so good. And it's like, it didn't come to me instantly. I had to do it over time. And then when everybody catches on to Messenger and they're like, oh, now I can't get as many Messenger people because they don't sign up for just anything anymore. Now they know how it works. Now you've got a nice fat list, and whether it's Shopify or whatnot. And one of the big things that we're looking to do, and this is just kind of a heads up for anybody who's actually looking at the Messenger marketing angle, is we're looking to add something called automatic retargeting, which I know you guys, Austin, are going to freak out about. But so let's imagine somebody's on your squeeze page and they enter their name and email address and they click submit. Underneath that is going to be a little button, a little checkbox that's pre-checked, and it's going to say send to Messenger. That's instantly going to subscribe them to your Messenger broadcasts. And we can set it up to where if they don't buy from you, let's say they add something to their cart. If they don't buy from you in a certain time frame that you set, we will automatically send them whatever message you preset through Messenger. It's just like an email marketing campaign, but without ever having to take somebody's email address. So our Shopify customers are freaking out because it's literally like somebody can click add to cart, and with doing nothing else in 1 hour, our system is going to send them a message that says, hey, you left this in your cart, or hey, come here to complete your checkout. It's this sort of automation that the entire world is going to. I mean, don't be surprised if you go into a restaurant in 3 years, and guys, here's WeChat for you in a little nutshell. You're on your way to a restaurant, you pull up their menu in WeChat, and you say, oh, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. You place your order from your phone, you walk into the restaurant, they've got GPS, they know you're there, they instantly print your ticket, and they start cooking your food. A little message pops up on your phone that says you're at table 34. You go right to your table because they knew you were coming. You go right to your table, you sit down. It's already got whatever your drinks are at the table, or it knows what your drinks are going to be, so the lady brings them out. Your food's already heated up. You can tell them if you want to add certain stuff, and you pay from within your app. That's a very real thing coming to Messenger in the near future. When everybody's that reliant on Messenger and you have an audience that uses Messenger, it's crazy. So we're just kind of excited that I love sharing the potential of Messenger and hoping that anybody gets in. Whether you use Chatmatic or not, I don't care. I really love.
I want to know how I can use Chatmatic in a new campaign that I just made, and I'll make sure that we wrap this up here in the next 10 minutes.
Sure.
But essentially, you guys probably all know about our company Proof. We live stream customer activity, and we instantly boost conversion with that. The way that we are going to be, well, we already have it running right now. A new marketing campaign launched on Monday is we have this really awesome free case study, which is discover how we increased our website conversions by 338% in under 72 hours. So this is a PDF. Once they download this, they go from an ad, which is literally a PDF version of this, of me scrolling through the digital version. They click on that ad, they go to a landing page, they opt in, and we're going to send this to their email. But the thank you page of this is to get my new conversion secrets course, which is all about how to optimize, how to run scientific tests. And so they get this normally sold for $500 for free when they get a 14-day free trial to Proof. So they keep all their money. They get this for a $500 course for free with a free 14-day trial to Proof. I would like to try and figure out how can I get them into that, seeing this offer with Dave and I talking about this course and Proof on a video after downloading this. What do you think?
I mean, there's a couple of different ways. So if you go right through getting some feedback, I don't know what just happened there, but I'm hearing myself. All right, I'm muting. So I don't hear myself now. But the way that I would probably do it is something similar to what you guys are doing now. I would take it a step above, and I would do something along the idea of, showing that making it very obvious when you look at it what the increase in conversion would do for you, right? Like show a spike in conversion, or show, whatever the ad is. It can be the same type of video ad or whatever, but we want to show what that is, and then offer them, like, I'm trying to kind of think through it in my mind, that like I would offer them comment below. So I would take the same ad you're already doing, let's say, and at the end offer the alternative of comment below, and I'll send it, and we will send you a message where you can download this PDF, because
so they get this to Messenger,
and you would send that to them. So what would happen is our button campaign, our Chatmatic button campaign, you would say, okay, here's my PDF download link, right? You go into Chatmatic and there is a button creator. You put that redirect URL in, and then you name that campaign. You'll name it Conversion Secrets or whatever. It's going to spit out a URL that now you want to send all of your traffic to. It's basically just a redirect URL. When somebody comments on your ad, you're going to use Chatmatic to automatically reply to them with a link that's now a Chatmatic button link. Anytime somebody clicks that button link, it's going to have a little Facebook authorization window, which, again, they're coming from Facebook, so almost everybody does it. And it's going to say, and the blue button, the wording on it is amazing. It literally, the blue button says continue as, and it'll have their name. So continue as Travis Stevenson. Well, of course I want to continue as myself. What option do I have? They didn't word it correctly where, like, yes, subscribe, right? It's not sent that way. So somebody comments on your current ad where you say, or I'll send you the link, via this, or what I could do is change the offering a little bit, make it faster, or comment, send it to me below, and I'll get it to you instantly, making it to where it's like, you don't have to come to me, I'll come to you. And then once they click the link in the message that you're going to send them, that link is going to be one of our links, which we always mask them with Bitly links, so they're short and whatever. And that will pop the little window, says, hey, can you give your email address? When they click continue, it takes them right over to the PDF. They don't think anything of it. In the background, our system takes the lead. You tell us what autoresponders, and here's the beauty, and how many you want to send that lead to. So it's like Zapier, but without Zapier. So you could be like, well, I want to send it to SendLane and I want to send it to Market Hero, but I also want to opt them into GoToWebinar and maybe put them in an EverWebinar sequence. You can put them in all 4 of those at the same time. You don't have to run Zapier in the background to do all this. And so that makes it a lot easier. But that exact ad campaign I ran before for Chatmatic, very similar. I didn't have my sales page quite where I wanted it to be, but same idea is I would say, here's a link to get it, normal ad. Go this way if you're a majority of the people, click this link, do this thing. Then at the very end, comment below and I'll send you a special link where you can download this instantly. That way it doesn't take away from what you're already doing, because we don't want that. But it will add to what you're already doing by saying, okay, here's another way that you can get it. And there is literally, and here's the best part, from the moment they see your ad, they click 2 links, which is the link to Open Messenger and the link in Messenger, and they're subscribed. They don't have to type any. There's no typing. There's no email. There's no typos. There's no nothing. And we had somebody amazingly do a cool case study here recently on Chatmatic using the Chatmatic button versus asking for everybody to opt in. I don't know if their conversion rate changed at all, but she said that her bounce rate went from 20% to 0 because Facebook email addresses are authentic. They're real. Like there's no potential for typo. Nobody's going to type the wrong email in. It's going to be whatever their Facebook, which one it is. And one of the funniest things I hear now is people will message me and say, hey, would you mind changing the email address for me that you have on file? Because the one that you have is my best one. And I want to use my marketer's email, the one that I always give them. And I didn't even think about that when I was setting up Chatmatic. I'm like, I just thought it was going to be no typos and, all that. But now we're actually getting the email address that people don't want us to have. And it like guarantees inbox. And our open rates are like 40%, which is amazing. So it's definitely, worked really nicely. That's cool.
So are you saying that if I do a messenger campaign using Chatmatic, I don't have to sacrifice getting the email as well?
No, this is totally in addition to what you're already going to do. I think that's such
key because it's almost like if I'm on Facebook, I'm on their playground.
Yep.
But if I, if I have the email address, it's in my active campaign. I'm able to I have a countdown with a deadline funnel. So it's literally like a 5-day period until all their links would redirect away from this page where they wouldn't be able to get that offer. Yep. So it's like, I still want to have that as a component because Messenger can't yet integrate with deadline funnel, right?
Unless they've integrated it, I don't think it does.
I don't think so.
Even still, like Messenger for the most part is going to be your way to get their attention again. So you can think of it as being similar enough to email, but you have to treat it a little bit differently. But the nice thing is that's probably one of the biggest confusion points with people on Chatmatic is they don't realize that we have our button creator, which is totally separate from Messenger in every way. It's not reliant on a fan page. It's all it does is tap into Facebook's code base and say, okay, we want to get an email address now. You can use that link anywhere you want. We have customers who are taking viral content. They're taking links to, BuzzFeed, redirecting people through a Chatmatic link, and everything on the link stays the same. It's just that on the way, they're going to get an email address for just sharing free content. So there's thousands
super
of
cool,
ways.
man.
Yeah, so many.
Dude, that is amazing. I'm gonna go and tell Troy to run some Chatmatic ads now, and
for sure. And definitely have him hit me up because I would be happy to kind of show him through the ropes of it in the beginning and kind of explain. Once you do it once or twice, it's super easy, and then you'll think, oh, we got to add Chatmatic to this, or we got to add Chatmatic to that. And I mean, even looking at any of your current ads, if you've got more than 100 comments, that's literally 100 people you could have followed up with automatically, sending them back into your funnel. Because again, you could send them with the comment, you could send them right back into your funnel. And some people I've found that the people who comment aren't usually the ones who are going to opt in right away. They're you know how many skeptics we have online? Some of these skeptics want to be proven that you're somebody first. And when you say, I'm going to give them this, and you don't do it, it proves their skepticism. But when you say, I'm going to give you this, then you give it, some of them then are like more willing to go with your funnel. So lots of really cool things. And you know what the greatest part is? We are still experimenting, and we've got right now over, I don't even know how many. Right now we're still taking on right about 190,000 comments an hour through our chatbot. So like that's how many people have activity going on. And so we're still learning. We're still learning like what the potential of it is, what the power of it is, where Messenger's going to go. But the whole way, you know, we kind of just run through. So it's evolving every single day, but eventually it's going to be a pretty strong and robust platform where we can do a lot more than even what we can do now with Messenger, just because as Chatmatic gets better, as Messenger gets better, and as people get more accustomed to what we're doing, the entire atmosphere is going to be a little bit different. So yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Awesome. Hey, so as we wrap up, man, where can people reach out to you, find you, communicate with you, follow you in the future?
So the most, I think the thing that would be the most beneficial as far as reaching out to me, definitely facebook.com/Travis Income. That's my fan page. Even today, I did an hour and 20-minute live video that's eventually going to be one of my modules in my Facebook training about how to build a fan page from scratch for free with 0 ads. And because, there's so much benefit in that. But that's definitely the number one. I think my fan page is going to be a big one for a lot of you guys if you want to reach out to me. I usually check that every day, at least once. But if you try to send me an email, I get 300 emails a day, just like everybody else. So not really much on there.
I'll put a link below this video as they're watching this to your fan page. And then also I'll put a link to Chatmatic if they want to check that out too.
Sure.
Do you have any specific thing that you want us to put down there?
No, I mean, you can Chatmatic.com kind of keeps up to date on with all of our current pricing and whatnot. And I will tell you, all of that's going to change. So, especially with Chatmatic, is we're in this, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. We're in this phase right now where we're rebuilding things in a way that we want it to be for the future. And so in doing that, we've changed our pricing model to be way more flexible. So we basically have 2 different plans. And instead of making it to where it continues to evolve, which we'll get to eventually with more subscribers, you pay more, like an email marketing platform. Right now we have flat campaigns, which remain unlimited and grandfathered. So anybody who does get in now, you end up never having to pay the additional fee. But if you're seeing this in like a month from now, you may not have the same benefits. So
cool. Awesome, man. Well, dude, hey, thanks so much for letting me take an hour and a half of your time, dude. And this is a great training. I can't wait to put this up in the portal by tomorrow. Yeah, great. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If I'd love, just kind of as a send-off here, for those of you guys who are here, just give me a yes or no if you thought this was good, or like a 1 to 10 on a rating scale of what you thought of this, because I know a lot of people might not 15, be where they want it to be. 1 billion. Yes. 10. You rock. Cool. Awesome. That was great. I love that. Well, yeah, if you guys appreciated it, just head over to my fan page and give me a like over there. That'll make it worth it for me. And now I know I can head in and it's time to start dinner and sparkling water for me. And I got to keep my hands on Facebook ads still, because they're still screwing with me. But I do see I have 3 notifications in my window, so I'm pretty excited to see. Hopefully those are like, hey, we're going to approve you now. Love it. Awesome. Hey, thanks so much, Travis. It was great having you on. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Now, here are some interesting facts about the mastermind, which give you an idea of how important it is and how necessary that you embrace this principle and make use of it in attaining success in your chosen occupation. First of all, it is the principle through which you may borrow and use the education, the experience, the influence, and perhaps the capital of other people in carrying out your own plans in life. It is the principle through which you can accomplish in 1 year more than you could accomplish without it in a lifetime if you depended entirely upon your own efforts for success.